More than 700 people from New Jersey lost their lives on September 11th. Our next guest is the former governor, I should say, of New Jersey. She was governor for 8 years. Also the former EPA administrator during 9/11, and she joins us now live. Christie Todd Whitman is here. Governor, thank you.
Good morning.
You know, I want to ask you this first. You have come under fire as head of the EPA during 9/11 for not making it clear enough that the air at Ground Zero was a concern for the workers there. And some of the workers who are now sick say that they really had the impression that the federal government said the air was okay for them. And in fact, this morning on Fox, former Mayor Giuliani was here and said he recalls your statements about the air being safe. So we wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that this morning.
Certainly. Well, I always did say the ambient air in lower Manhattan was safe because all the readings that we were getting from our monitors and what the scientists were saying was that the air quality in general in lower Manhattan was safe, but we never said on the pile was safe. In fact, every time we talked about it, I would always say, however, for the workers, they must wear respirators. EPA is the one that set up the wash stations. We were very concerned about the air quality on the pile where they were getting releases. But everything the scientists told us was what we communicated to the public. It was the most open communication. Within 6 days, there was a website giving readings from the monitors we had all around, tens of monitors around the city, in Staten Island, over in New Jersey. And fortunately for most people, those releases went up and then dissipated fairly quickly. But for those workers, there was never a question but that was bad stuff and they needed to wear respirators.
Did you consider at the time at all making it even more clear than you felt you were making it, that you should make more of a push when you saw videotape of workers not wearing those respirators or hearing stories of them?
I would call our people every night when I looked at the news clips and say, what can we do? Unfortunately, EPA was not in charge of the site. EPA had responsibility for communicating what was happening. We provided as many masks as we had available, even though that wasn't our responsibility, but you have to do that when you see there's a need. But we didn't have the ability to enforce, and you can see the difference down at the Pentagon where it was under the control of the Department of Defense. Somebody was in control. If anyone showed up at that site to work without a respirator, they were escorted off. Nobody took that responsibility at Ground Zero on that pile, unfortunately. We communicated with the people who we thought could do that. We certainly made our concerns known, but we at EPA did not have the authority to go in and force workers to use them. And they were cumbersome, they were hot. Those men and women were doing a job. They were trying to get to people, they were trying to save lives, and I can understand why they felt they didn't want anything that would slow them down. But on the other hand, they're paying a terrible price now.
You know, local officials have responded to your comments by saying, we were looking to the federal government for guidance. Was there perhaps a communication glitch there from your perspective, that it was that distinction between saying lower Manhattan seems to be okay, but if you're standing on that pile and working on that pile, that is not okay? Was that the message that just didn't get through?
It didn't. For some reason, I don't know whether people hear what they want to hear, but also in meetings, in private meetings, when EPA would be there with people who were going over what was going to be done on the pile that day, where they were going to be, they reiterated that message. And it's enormously frustrating because I don't know how we could have done it better. Clearly, not everyone got the distinction, and yet it would have been wrong to have said that all of lower Manhattan was at the same risk as people on the pile, because that just wasn't what the monitors were telling us. It wasn't what the scientists were telling us. And even those who have looked back afterwards have not found long-term health implications from just lower Manhattan in general. On the pile, we're seeing what we feared might occur, and that's why we kept trying to say to people, you've got to wear these monitors.
Right. Christie Todd Whitman, former governor of New Jersey, also former EPA administrator. We thank you so much for your time this morning.
A pleasure.
Well, a live look again at Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The President and the First Lady will be visiting the site shortly. 40 people were killed when United Flight 93 crashed there back on 9/11. We'll take you back there live when the President arrives. Should be in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Hundreds of family members of those aboard Flight 93 are gathered in Shanksville, Pennsylvania this morning. You're looking at a live picture there. After a moment of silence at 9:59 a.m., the names of the 40 passengers and crew were read aloud and bells tolled 5 years after that